My name is Madison Williams. I'm a student at Regent University, and this week I took a look at a holiday that is celebrated in Spain known as Three Kings Day. So I'm going to ask each one of you what your favorite holiday is, just to get a little bit of insight in why certain people like certain holidays in America. So, what is your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday is Easter
And can you tell me why?
because of what it means to me.
And what's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday is Halloween
And why?
because I just always enjoyed the kids dressing up and the neighborhood vibe that we would have with going trick or treating. Just a lot of festivities and fun for the kids.
Awesome. So, all around the world, people celebrate holidays that others may not even know about. For my speech, I chose a holiday celebrated in Spain and some Latin American countries, known as Three Kings Day. A recent study stated that 68% of Spanish speaking children prefer receiving gifts from the wise men, leaving only 27% of children in Spain choosing Father Christmas. In Spain, Three Kings Day is almost as important as Christmas. So, Three Kings Day was celebrated in Western cultures and it started around the 4th century. It is celebrated on January 6th as the day the three wise men reached Bethlehem. This was exactly 12 days after Christmas. More often celebrated in Spanish speaking cultures as they believe this event is just as important as Jesus' birth. So, I actually have a personal story. My best friend's stepdad is from Spain. So, he moved from Puerto Rico to Spain and then he brought the tradition of the Three Kings over to America to his family. I actually knew nothing about it until I met him, and so I always was curious about, what they were doing on January 5th, because they would leave grass under their bed, and then the next morning they would have three gifts. And so I was always kind of curious as to what it was, and so he finally explained to me that this was Three Kings Day, and it is the celebration of the wise men reaching Bethlehem to meet Jesus after he was born. So they would leave the grass for the camels, and then in return, if they were good, they would get three gifts. Obviously from their parents, but it was supposed to be from the wise men. The uniqueness is kind of different than our Christmas because they have a festival, they have parades, they throw candy. It's kind of like our Christmas parades, except it's a little bit more serious. And they do it January 5th for the kids, and then that night the kids will write cards for the wise men, and they will do snacks for the camels, just as we do carrots for the reindeer, and like Santa's lists or whatever we want to do that night for him, and then um, they will leave clean shoes on their front porch. And if they were good, the wise men will decide to bring three gifts to them that next morning. There's also a really good tradition that they do, and they have to bake a cake. So it's like a circular, almost like a fruit cake, and there will be two not edible things, but one will be like a garnish that is like a crown that resembles a crown. And so if one person finds the crown, they kind of get to make the rules for the day. It's like finding a pickle in the Christmas tree on Christmas Day. So they kind of get rewarded for finding that. And then the opposite would be if you find a bean in the cake, you actually have to buy the cake for the next Three Kings Day for the next year. So it kind of keeps a good business going, like for the bakers, and then it also kind of keeps like the tradition going all year. Like, oh, you have to buy the cake next year. So it's kind of fun just to keep the tradition going in a bunch of different families in Spain. So no matter where you go around the world, there's always going to be able to find something that's unique about the culture you're surrounded in. The world thrives off diversity, and it is how traditions have stayed alive for so many years and to come. Three Kings Day is one of many traditions in Spain that makes them unique. I hope you all have gained new information about what it means to celebrate Three Kings Day, and maybe you will even celebrate it next year. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. Do either of you have any questions about Three Kings Day?
Yeah, but I really enjoyed your speech.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I find it very interesting that the American culture doesn't celebrate that often. Is there any, have you found any information that the American culture, why they don't celebrate it as heavily?
So Christians in America kind of have a different standpoint on what it means for Christmas. So on January 6th for Christians, typically in America, it's more of just the day of Epiphany. So it's 12 days after Jesus' birth, and so Christians kind of they make Christmas a priority for them. So they think that Jesus' birth is the main like importance of everything about Christmas. And so it's kind of like we don't not celebrate it in America, but it's not as important as Spanish cultures have made it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you again, and I hope you guys learned a lot about Three Kings Day, and maybe you can do the traditions of the king next year.
All right.
Thank you.